Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Laureli Shimayo. This is the Me, We Metaphysics and Wellness events for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest, including many online. Today's our online awakening panel. The theme is finding peace and happiness. There are 7 practitioners that are on the panel today that will be answering questions from the audience. We're going to go through and introduce ourselves and share with you who we are. Then we'll go through afterwards practitioners and talk about the theme afterwards. So let's just introduce ourselves first. And yeah, and then I'll be kind of setting the container before we answer questions. We are recording. We deeply appreciate you being here with us today. Well, let's see. So, and I'm going to put information on all the practitioners in the chat, so you'll be able to see who everyone is and their contact info in the chat as well. Most practitioners have specials where if you'd like to do work with any of us privately, you can connect with us. And take advantage of our specials, get the opportunity of our specials. All right, we're going to go in a similar order as before. So let's see, we're going to have Susy, Felicia, and then I think we did Joy, Satora, Sue, and Viana. So yeah, go ahead and take either a couple of minutes or so, and then we'll talk about the theme after. So just introduce yourselves now. Go ahead, Susy.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Susy Parker Goins of Blue Lightning Healing. I'm a channel. I believe we all channel in some form or another, and spirit or source manifests through me in a number of ways, whether it's talking to spirit guides, arguing with ancestors, or looking at past lives. I'm an energy healer. I do cards. I do what we need in the moment to help you clear out that, kind of like that archaeology of finding yourself and finding happiness. We work together to take some more layers off so your light can shine even more brightly. I have a website, bluelightninghealing.com, which lists all of my stuff. My original podcast, Blue Lightning Healing Meditations, is linked on the podcast page, but I'm also involved in another podcast called Mystic Mosaic, where Lisa Stewart, Kai Bertrand, and I break down topics and we will talk about them. We have different perspectives, so it's been pretty entertaining, at least for me, to sit there and listen to their perspectives, and I throw mine in, and we have a lot of fun. That one airs. That's a new one that's airing Thursdays at 12:30. You can find it on YouTube, and I will dig up the link for that and pass it on to the chat. That's going to take me a minute, but yeah, I have a special MeWe 20 when you buy a longer session on my website, and that'll give you 20% off. And I think that's it for now. I'm looking forward to talking to folks. I've got people here I haven't met before and others who do truly bring me happiness. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Thanks.
Thanks, Susy. Felicia's next.
Aloha. So I'm a former imposter that transformed into an all-intuitive executive and life coach. So what does that mean? So there was a time in my life that I felt as though I always had to work twice as hard in order to have success. I felt as though I had to prove myself constantly, which ultimately led to me being frustrated, tired, angry, and unlike my namesake, not happy. So eventually I heard a word that said, Felicia, you know the phrase, work smarter, not harder. Well, you can live smart. So that sent me on this whole journey in order to see myself and awaken, master my emotions, ask, believe, and receive, relax, relate, release, and talk wisely and ascend. And so now today, I encourage other people who are living in the shadows of imposter syndrome to be encouraged to live smart and ascend to new levels of success. I have an all-intuitive conversation, which is a webcast that hosts live on LinkedIn, and then I share on YouTube. You can check that out there. So I look forward to connecting with you guys, learning a little bit more about your story, and hopefully encouraging you to be happy.
Thanks so much, Felicia. All right, and we've got Joy next.
Thank you, Laureli. Hello, everyone. My name is Joy J. Lee. I'm an energy healer, and I'm certified in hand mudras and work with phototherapy stem cell patches. I also do intuitive readings with oracle cards. The term mudras is Sanskrit for gesture, and like Reiki, hand mudras are a form of energy healing. meaning I use hand mudras to balance and heal a person's energies or issues. With hand mudras, one can address things such as energy or chakra blockages, energy balancing, release of negative energies, emotional, physical issues, and much more. I work remotely as well as in person. I'm also a distributor of Lifeway patches, which are a wonderful new stem cell healing modality that operate on the principles of phototherapy. The patches work by reflecting the infrared light emitted by our bodies back into the body. And each patch uses different frequencies, so they each address different issues. The patches can address the same issues as the hand mudras, as well as aid things like rapid wound healing. I also do readings working intuitively with oracle decks. I have a couple of event specials, 30 minutes for $25 and 50 minutes for $40. And I offer first 30 minutes consultation free, and all those for the month of November. You can contact me by phone or email, and all that information can be found on my website at diamondfirephoenix.com, standard spelling. I'm excited to be here with all these other wonderful practitioners and looking forward to working with everyone tonight. Thanks to all for being here.
Thanks, Joy. We've got Sujata next. Or not Sujata next, Satora next, excuse me.
Oh, I've been unmuted the whole time. Hi, my name is Satora, and I'm with Amaris Wellbeing. Amaris is a group of ascended masters and angels and other beings of unconditional love that are dedicated to helping humanity awaken and basically realizing who we really are. I started working with Amaris consciously like about more than 10 years ago when the energy healing modality quantum energetic realignment came to me very unexpected. And I had to figure out what it was that just happened and learned over time. And they started talking to me. I heard voices in my head. They told me things I then had to look up on Google. So I knew it wasn't, I didn't make it up. So in working with these beings, I have in the time since completely transformed myself and my life. I went from, at that time, I was very depressed, very suicidal, unhappy, in a bad relationship, living on the same property with my first husband. It was just an overall bad situation. I had abusive relationships going, and with their guidance and by doing the energy work with myself, my life transformed completely. I moved out of this state, out of that place. I now have completely different relationships. I'm finally ready to or have been for 2 years now, to share these gifts. And that's what Amaris Wellbeing is all about, to share this accelerated transformation, very gentle, loving, accelerated transformation with others. So for them to experience this love and the ease of change and being more of yourself, who you really are, expressing yourself freely. So this is what we're all about. And I have another modality that I'm learning that is called Chin Terra, which works with the meridians and gentle touch. It's similar to acupressure, and that combines very wonderful with my energy work because it helps it integrate in the body. It helps with embodiment. So here is our website, amaris.com. And this is where you can find us. I got free stuff on there, like eavesdrop, that's messages, also audio messages. You can go check it out. And I have a special 33% off of any session. And that's it for now. I hope you find things here that will help you be happier and have more peace.
Thanks so much, Satora. Now we have Sue, and then we'll have Viana.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sue. My Facebook page is Light Side Me. There's a little story behind my the name of my page. When I started my journey, I was not in a good place. I grew up in a very didn't quite know how to express myself. A lot of isolation. So I call it the dark phase of my life. And now from that side to this side, it's been an incredible journey. And I want to honor that light that I feel I now share, or I have even, for my own life. And I am an intuitive empath. I use Akashic records, mediumships, and energy healing to break and change the current life patterns. My goal is to get to my highest and best timeline. And I want to share that journey with everybody I come across, because we hold the keys to our own stories. We hold the keys to our own healing. The slowing down enough and recognizing what those keys are and recognizing what those patterns are is what helps us get to that point of joy in our life. So that's what I'm offering. That's what my energy healing is about. I'm offering $45 for 45 minutes for the month of November. And you can message me on Facebook on Lightside Me. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. And Viana's next.
Hi, my name is Viana, and I am so glad that you are here. It's wonderful to be with all of you. I got my BA in secondary education in 1962, and I realized after I got that degree that I knew nothing about teaching and that I had to just give myself my life to learn really how to teach. Along the way, I got my licensed massage therapy, license 1978. And then I got my movement intelligence teacher training and teacher in non-dual meditation from Realization Process series. And I have 83 years of life experience. Questions for you to contemplate. What is your universal function? Mine is loving, connecting, and clearing. Do you know your universal function? Are you connected with your guardian angel? Are you aware of the subtle beings around you? Have you met the She? Do you love yourself unconditionally? Are you living in your whole body? Would you like to learn how to massage yourself? Do you move freely without discomfort and pain? Do you know your personal sound? These are the areas and more that I teach people how to be their authentic self. Thank you so much. My website is viana-motion.com. My phone number and my email address is on there. And for the month of November, I'd like to offer 20% off of an hour session. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader and a body psychology coach. I read your eyes and your body and answer questions about your soul and your state. So your purpose, your path, your growth lessons, relationships that you're in if you show me eyes, photos of other people. And I love to use this work for helping you connect with others that are great for your journey, be that matchmaking or hiring or choosing an employer, any of those kinds of things, choosing business partners. So I read your eyes with a set of archetypes. I think we all read eyes all the time. You think about when you've met someone with dark sunglasses and you can't see their eyes, there's so much missing. And the moment that you see their eyes, there's so much there. I use a set of archetypes to ground what I see, what we all see, to make sense of it, to be able to talk about it in a more tangible way. I look at your talents, how you make decisions, what motivates you, how you most easily communicate, how you protect yourself, all kinds of things like that. It helps you better understand you and why you're here, what path to be heading on for the most fulfillment, to make the greatest contributions, and who to connect with, depending on what it is you're wanting to do. Your body gives information all the time about how you're feeling in the moment, and should say like old stories and beliefs that are still stuck show up in our bodies. There are all kinds of subtle ways that they appear and sometimes really dramatic ways. Subtle, seeming innocuous things like just a little itch we have, right? Tells what's happening, what's likely happening. It's a place for me to ask questions or a place for you to wonder about what's happening for yourself and to give more attention to what's happening and perhaps make choices about what to do next, how to be in that moment. I'm Laureli Shimayo. I've got tons of information on all the different things I do at laurelishamayo.com. I'll have that spelled in the chat. And my specials, I've been doing drop-in dating coaching and matchmaking sessions. So you're welcome to come to the first one for free. And I also do a 20-minute mini session. So I'll put my information in the chat too. You're welcome to sign up for one of those. And yeah, just excited to be all together to be talking about this theme. So let's go through, and practitioners, let's talk a bit about the theme, finding peace and happiness. Some of us made kind of allusions to what that journey might have been like for us as we introduced ourselves. And let's talk about this more explicitly, and then we'll be answering questions from the audience. So Susy, let's start back with you, and you know, a minute-ish or so. I'm open to take your time and share what you want to share, and we'll go around again, and then we'll have a
Okay.
chance to jump back in.
Okay, thanks, Lorelai. The title alone, Finding Happiness. I don't know. I've been thinking about that. It's like, well, yeah, you can find happiness. People say you can choose happiness. I feel I'm more in the line of, like I said earlier, it's like exploration and kind of an archaeological dig. Sometimes we have so much trauma that's been heaped on us or through our own experience that, you know, you just don't know where happiness is. I mean, I've had medical issues and I had to find, I don't have to be elusive about it. I had cancer like 9 years ago. So I had to find those spots that brought me happiness. And I use humor for that. So I get to tell folks, yeah, I was in chemo and I learned how to pole dance. I got tangled up in the IV lines, but you know, I could do it. So it's finding those sort of things that works for me. Does that work for you? Not necessarily. Sometimes it's as much as, you know, doing something you enjoy. Like I love doing these things and seeing new faces and seeing other faces and names that I hold dear. And that sort of thing brings me happiness. I think happiness is possible, but you've got to look to find what the happiness within you is. It's not an external thing, it's looking at yourself. Another example is I was working on body image, and the only thing I could find that I was happy with was my right ankle. So I got henna on it, and I would walk with that ankle out and stuff. It's like, look, I have a nice ankle. And it's worked its way up to be more and to become beyond the physical. But I look and see these things again, the accepting what it is I do and who I am. And I am grateful for it. I think gratitude is a big part of finding happiness because you're going to say, thank you, universe, for being able to be on these panels. And then more come to me and I get to meet more amazing people. I don't know if there's a pat answer to it. I think there is a process that we all go through, but it's got to be our process. And so I'm happy to be here to help explore this topic tonight. It's already making me think. So thanks.
Thanks, Susy. Felicia.
Aloha. So my journey growing up was that I had imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome with the expectations that I had to make all A's. I had to do everything perfectly. I had to be the smart one, do the perfect one. Felicia, you can do this. I like to say I was my parents like Google and Alexa and all that before we had all that. It was like, just ask Felicia. She knows the answers, right? And so that led to success in my life. Yes, getting good grades, having a good job. But then as I graduated college and then add a man and a husband to that, right? Then add those careers, then add the kids, I finally had this whole breaking moment. I literally was driving down the street. I think I just had this whole fight with my husband. And this is what the true meaning of Jesus, take the wheel. Because I put my hands up, I was like, you know what? You're going to have to tell me. And that's when I got that whole word. And I started hearing, or like really acknowledging all the voices that I was hearing in my head, right? And so that led me on this whole journey to where it talks about, where I talk about to live smart. And that first one was see yourself and awaken. And so my journey on creating the happiness that my name literally means happy was finding out more about my name. That used to be a trigger for me, just my name alone. How many of y'all heard that phrase, bye Felicia? Yeah, right. It was annoying. It was a trigger for me. Because if you know like the context of that, that's from a movie from Friday. And in that movie, Felicia was a crackhead and she was being dismissed. Hence why they would say, bye Felicia. And so I had to learn how to embody my happiness, how to take that trigger away from other individuals and say, you know what? No, all they're really saying is just bye happy. It's not some whole other story that they're impeding upon me. And so that's just one of the things that I had to awaken to. And then I flowed through the other steps. So I look forward to sharing and connecting with you guys. And like how Susy was saying, everyone has their own unique journey for that. But if you're looking for some steps and advice on that, that's one of the things that I use in order to say, you can live smart, Felicia. And so thank you.
Thanks, Felicia. Joy is next. Let's get you unmuted.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Laureli. Yes, when we came up with the idea of this panel, I mean, I think finding peace and happiness, like Susy and Felicia have been saying, it's a process. It's a life process. In fact, one could say that's what one's part of one's life purpose always is to find peace and happiness, and that definitely comes from within. For a great part of my life, I went by my middle name, but actually, my mom is the one who had named me Joy, and at one point, I was getting a lot of metaphysical signs from the universe that I should start using that name and take a path accordingly. So I think there are also signs that we get, and sometimes we can see them more easily than others. But I think that's all part of the process, and it starts from within. And I think, like Susy was saying, gratitude is a big part of that.
Great, thanks so much, Joy. And I think we've got Satora and then Sue and then Viana.
So for me, finding happiness and joy was really very much connected with allowing myself to be who I really am, because naturally I'm very fun-loving and pleasure-seeking, and I just like to have fun, and yeah. So that is really my nature, but well, big parts of my life I lived very depressed and not very fun. So there was a lot covering that up somehow. And so one essential point for me was always my connection to source, spirit, however you want to call it, I always start my day with some kind of connection. Usually I do a meditation, but it has changed a lot over the years, depending on, I was in spiritual groups in school, so they teach you different things, and then you know, one thing doesn't work anymore, then I move on to something else. But to me, that is like putting your, what's the thing that you plug into the outlet. You put your energy cable or your joy cable or your love cable into the outlet and allow this to you connect with the source of where it comes from. So that's what meditation and spiritual practice is all about. And being who you really are has a lot to do also with allowing the spirit within. We call it being essence or your higher self. It's really your essence, the source, the divine part of you, connecting with that, being at one with yourself or with myself. I talk, well, I should talk about myself, but a lot of my happiness comes from that and from my connection with my guides, which is really my connection to my own higher self, my own spirit. And that gives a wonderful grounding to then have better relationships on the outside too, because we plug into love, because from source only pure love comes. There is no requirement, there is no argument, there is no judgment. We all have that access, and to find ways to access that, it can happen while dancing, it can happen on a walk, looking at the sky or looking, smelling the roses. So finding ways to find that connection and plug into that, to me, that's very much a key. And it's also kind of a fun exploration. You can just go by what makes me feel better and what feels sucky and what drags me down. That is a good indicator to then notice that and make choices accordingly and choose things that feel better. So yeah, so that's a big part of my happiness. It started out as just a way to keep sane and survive, was always my connection to my spiritual connection. And now it's become, now that it's more developed and I have changed over time, it's really a source of happiness and, yeah, centeredness and happiness. So, okay, I think that's
Great.
it.
Great. Thank you. Then we've got Sue.
This is a tough one. This is a very interesting topic. For me, initially, happiness was simply all about the nots. When I didn't have to listen to so many people, when I didn't have so many bills, when I didn't have to wear a size 14, when I didn't have to like take care and prioritize other people's needs over my needs, like that was my definition of happiness. When I didn't have to do X, Y, Z. Then when I got to a point of, well, okay, so can I be happy and what will it take to make me happy? So that was a very hard definition for me, and I'm still working on it. But now I know that happiness is real. It's the small things, and it's fun defining it's intentional, right? Like I chose to be happy, and that's what got me on this path. I chose to be happy and make my life easy. It forced me to make these hard life decisions, which I would have not had otherwise. But the trade-off was being happy, so it made it worth it. So now that's where I am, and that's what happiness is to me. It's to actually say, I'm just going to be happy watching Men in Black again, for the next couple hours. Like defining those moments of what happiness is and taking those small steps and introducing, like Satora said, that joy into your field again, like consciously, intentionally, keeps us on that path of towards getting happy, towards what makes you happy, becoming more conscious of it. So yeah, I'm so ready for this topic. I'm interested to see what everybody's going to ask.
Great. Thanks so much, Sue. Viana, you're up.
Well, I didn't get to go through my life without all the challenges, just like any other human being. I've had plenty of pain, physical pain. I had birth traumas and, but I'll tell you what gives me the most joy is loving myself and loving others. I just get so much joy when I have the opportunity to love others, and I have to keep loving myself unconditionally in order to be able to do that. And that is always a challenge because I was raised by a very judgmental mother and grandmother, and I had to work for years getting those things out of my head so that I could just love without the judgment. And so mainly that's what gives me joy, is just being with all of you and just sitting here and loving all of you and listening. And I love to go into grocery stores and just love the cashier, I mean, they're just so like this. And then I talk to them and I just send them all this love. And by the time I leave, they have a big smile on their face, and that just gives me so much joy. So anything that I can do with all the things that I know to help you feel your joy, that's what it's all about. Thank you for listening to me.
Great. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. So I say a little bit about finding joy and happiness. For me, it's about finding flow, and finding flow not only in me, flow with the universe, so flow with my surroundings. So that's a way for me that being in my purpose is in the context of what's of service, as well as what energizes me to continue to give more and more. So my aim with my archetypes is to help people find that place. And I think that for all of us, if we listen to where do we experience flow, where do we not experience flow, and we keep stepping towards that place of flow, I think that we ultimately feel joy and happiness, peace and happiness in that place where there's flow and we're in sync and in kind of a rhythm with our surroundings, finding those places of synergy where there's more contribution and less harm. I'm a believer that is like nature has fewer of the constraints. I mean, we're nature, but our journey seems to be like all kinds of experiments with ways of blocking, maybe I should say. Blocking flow maybe seems to be the experiment of humans. And I think we have an opportunity of reconnecting with nature and reconnecting with spirit and finding that flow. And to me, ultimately, peace and joy come from that. And we're each different. It's a slightly different thing for each of us. That's part of understanding our soul purpose, our journey. And for me, it's definitely taking action and getting feedback to see how to be in better flow. Lots and lots of action steps for me in terms of my career path or relationships, my purpose and expressing my purpose. It's all about action and tuning. And I'm open that it might be different for other people. I think that action and feedback is probably important for everyone. And maybe I certainly take a lot more action steps than the average person. The people that know me are like, yeah, Laureli, you do. Yeah, so that's just practitioners. Anything else you want to say about finding peace and happiness before we set the stage for answering questions? Go ahead, Susy.
I want to point out that it's not age specific. Happiness can happen at any time in your life. And just because I'm a geezer and stuff like that, yeah, I've done all that stuff and I've worked it. It's like, no, everybody can have happiness. It's like, abundance. There's not just a certain amount that's available for anybody to have. Everybody can have happiness. But everybody, I don't know if that the blanket statement of everybody's got to work to find it, or it's got to go through a process, but I don't believe that just some people can have happiness, that we all are deserving of happiness. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Satora.
Yeah, what Susie said it made me remember something on my own journey. I have created a lot of suffering for myself throughout my life. And in 2019, it was a particularly hard year, but it was also a year where my connection with my guides deepened and I could hear them. I would go on walks and I would ask questions and they talk to me through my own mouth. It took some getting used to, but and then they said to me, you are ready. You don't have to suffer anymore. There is so much waiting for you and you're ready for it. There is joy and everything you want is waiting for you. And I understood it in that moment, or at that time I understood it as, well, I have suffered enough now. I've done my share of suffering. I've worked hard enough now for 50 odd years. And now I deserve to be happy and I deserve good things to come to me. That's how I got that. And I had to listen to another teacher who said everything you desire, everything you ask for, Source creates it automatically, immediately. Source always says yes, and it exists in energetic form, and it's all about getting ready and allowing it in. That it dropped. I understood. Oh, that's what you mean. It has always been there. There was never a need to suffer. There is no need to work hard, but I didn't know any better. So I did do all these things. I put myself through all of that. And that's okay. I think most of us humans do that to some degree, but I think it's good to know that we don't have to. We have choices and we can make it easier on ourselves. So looking at those beliefs that often are so deeply ingrained. I mean, I grew up in Germany, for God's sakes. there's I mean, there's a lot of criticism and working hard and perfectionism and this and that, and you can't have anything good before you've really earned it. So it's, for most of us, these beliefs are deeply ingrained, and because we've believed them so much, they have reaffirmed themselves in our life. But yeah, I think it's good to know there are other choices and we can make other choices, and just knowing that can help us start on the path towards more ease, more joy, more receiving what is really there for us.
Thanks, Satora. Viana, go ahead.
My subtle being friend said, you need to tell them that we've been with you all your life, and that's one of the reasons why you've been able to be happy in spite of all the crazy things that have happened. So I am saying thank you to all my subtle being friends and the she. And if I can help you connect to your subtle being friends, I would love to do that, because I don't know what I would have done without them. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks so much. All right. Well, we are open for questions. There's a small price to ask a question. Before we jump into any questions, This is public, it's recorded and going online. So there are even more people than us that are going to be seeing it. So if you ask a question and in our answer, we go deeper than you want us to go in this context, or we talk about topics you don't want us sharing about here, please interrupt us and give us feedback so we stay focused on what feels good to you. We're here to honor you in our answers. This is a great opportunity for practicing opening to your intuition. So you might want to have something to write with and on so you can scribble and draw and all those things as we've been sharing now. And as someone asks a question and we're answering, so you have an opportunity to get feedback and see if you're tapping into the same kinds of things that we are on the panel. Of course, you might have something valid come through for you that we happen to not mention. And it's a great opportunity to listen and learn from all that's shared and all that's asked and answered, whether or not you ask a question. All right. Does anyone have a question for the panel? It can be on any topic. Our theme today, of course, is finding peace and happiness, and it can be about anything. Yeah. So it's sliding scale, 20 to 28 or $12 for BIPOC folks as a step of making reparations. Yeah. Does anyone want to ask the panel a question? I don't think we have anyone in line at the moment. And we know that it's an important night energetically. Those of you that come on to watch later, it is Samhain tonight, so there's a lot present. We had a panel talking about that a few days ago. Yeah. And as while we're waiting to see who might want to ask the panel a question, if any of the panelists have a question, we can dive into one of our questions too. And yeah, just different options of how tonight may end up flowing.
I have a question. Why do you think, like, why do you think who is in charge of our happiness? Like, did we withhold it from ourselves? Like, I have a lot of input behind it, but like, I would love to see what everybody's point of view is. Like, why do we have these qualifiers? Like, you're old enough, you've suffered enough, you've experienced enough, like now you can have happiness, now you can have joy. Do you think all of us carry that in our stories, or we define that and we forget to update that definition of when we can be happy or why we are not happy?
So you're kind of asking who's the gatekeeper of our happiness?
Right. Who's the gatekeeper of our happiness?
Right. I see smiles from someone in the palace. Yeah. Pensive, questioning. What am I doing? What am I going to share? And giggles. Yes.
I mean, sometimes I feel like the stories we have been through is, like, my story was really hard and really long, but I think that is what gave me a great understanding of what pain looks like and what I don't want anymore in my life. So did I have to learn all of that to be happy now? Like, is that how I know that, yes, I'm happy today because I don't have that anymore in my life?
Are you wanting us to, just to check in, are you wanting us to answer in like in a more general way, talking about this conceptually, or are you open to anyone sharing anything specifically with you too that they might happen to have come up? Okay, great. So it can be specific for Sue. So everyone, go ahead, Viana, and then Joy, and then Susy. Yeah, just limit your answer to about 2.5 minutes, and I'll let you know this way if you're getting towards the end, so you can finish up for everyone. Go ahead.
I don't think I've really even ever thought about who is in charge of my happiness, because I've always felt that it's up to me, but I don't totally rely on myself. I mean, if I can't quite pull myself out of some funk I'm in, I'll reach out to other people and say help. But I feel that that it really is up to me to be able to hear and ask. And I tend to ask my guardian angel more and my she friends more than anybody. When I'm having a hard time, I'll just say, please help me. I'm so grateful. Please help me. But I think that I really believe it's up to us to reach out when we need to and check in and make changes and learn how to be flexible and flow and don't get stuck. And I don't know if that's helpful or not, but
No, I
Great.
just wanted perspective, you know.
what'd you say?
I was just looking, I'm looking for perspective. Like how do you see it? Like this is because I mean, you know, I want to see how everybody sees this.
All right, great. Thanks, Viana. We've got Joy next.
Thanks, Laureli. Thanks, Sue. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, because of course, I mean, part of it is a matter of definition. What makes you happy? I mean, there are always going to be elements out of your control. That's the thing. So how much does that affect you, and how much does that have to affect your happiness? I mean, how happy can you be despite the things that happen outside your control? And I think that's it. It's an individual thing, and it depends on what's happening. But I think that part of finding peace and happiness is balancing that, as balancing what makes you happy with what you have to deal with.
Great, thanks. Susie?
I see it as this journey that, we're born and we're all ideal and we're happy and all of this. And then we learn from our parents the way we ought to behave. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes that does create happiness. I'm finding more and more parents. I met a couple this past weekend who are like, yeah, we came from this sort of background, which was really restrictive. And so their kid was going to be able to explore whatever he wanted to do. He got his nails done and he found some of this and that. And they're like, yeah, we wanted to make it different. Some of us take longer to break out of that upbringing we have. And so, we go through school, we go through religion, we go through our parents. And then at some point we realize we want to rebel. Sometimes it's in your teens, or other times it's, 20. Sometimes it's even later when I find that there are people who want to break these old patterns. They can be outdated or outmoded. And therein we start to wander about. And we finally get to a point, like that's what happened with me, was that I left the Catholic Church, when I was a sophomore in college, and I wandered about for a few years, and then I learned to row, and then the doors all burst open and I discovered all of these other things I could do. And that's my story. Other people's stories happen sooner. Some folks happen later. And it is, see, I didn't get to finish my notes. Okay. And some patterns are really deeply ingrained. And so that's, I think, when we start to turn outwards and start to find these other methods for us to learn, these other ideas that we can open up to. I think some folks have a harder time breaking free of their parental programming, for lack of a better word. And it is still kind of, for me, it was a guilty pleasure. It's like, oh, look, I took my cards around in the office and went, oh, here, let me toss these down, la da da da. And I started reading for my friends. And then, of course, now, look, here I am. Talking to other folks about it. It's a journey, and it's the journey that you get to take. And I don't always say that happiness is a choice. Sometimes it's a necessity, because you have to dig your way out of it. Does that make sense, Sue? Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll finish my notes maybe.
No, I mean, really, like we have to get to that awareness of I'm sad to get to I want to become happy, right?
You could be at that point where, no, I'm happy. This is the way everybody's grown up. And then you get outside and start looking at, you get outside of whatever unit you've been in and realize, there's a different kind of happiness out there and that resonates more with me and stuff like that. So yeah, frequently those old patterns don't work. Like Felicia was telling in her story, the call of Felicia thing. It's like, oof, but you get to break free of it. And it's the other people are going to have a problem with you breaking free. You're happy and other people are cranky. That's their problem. It's not yours. Okay, now I'm done.
Thanks, Susie. We've got Satora and then Felicia.
So, definitely we are in charge of our happiness, but often we don't even know, or often we don't even know that we can be happy, or that even that's our birthright. I mean, who tells you that? So I feel for myself and what I see in others is we need a lot of help to take that authority that we are in charge of our happiness and move towards it. Uh, and also examples of it. I mean, who teaches us to be happy? I had to learn that. How do you celebrate? How do you, even though I'm naturally that kind of person, I still had to learn it because I was taught completely different and I practiced completely different. And even when I left my parents' house, I still created all these things for myself until I learned better things. So it's always a process. And I mean, we can't expect somebody or something to make us happy. That's codependence. That's like the essence of codependence. So when we find within ourselves that source of happiness, then we have a better start. We don't need so much from the outside, and at the same time, more comes from the outside because we're on that frequency then. But it's not so much a thing of need. So yeah, it's a process, but it's definitely us. And on some level, it's just a matter of energy. You could look at it very technically and look at it, how are you aligned and what energies are you attuned to? And that determines how you feel and how happy you are. That from a sort of vibrational technical perspective, you could look at it like that. But yeah, we got to know all of that and learn all of that and practice things that make us more happy. So it's really very different for everybody. And sometimes we just need to go through phases where we think something or somebody makes us happy until we notice, oh, that didn't work. There may be a better way, something that's more empowering for me, that I don't need somebody. And this is not to say that everybody needs to live as a rock or an island. Totally not. I mean, we are social beings, and where my guides live, Amaris, they always say we. They have such a consciousness of together. It's always we. So we are all interconnected, and we all influence each other to some degree. So becoming aware of that connection from a sense of inner sovereignty at the same time. It's all very paradoxical, right? But that's kind of how it is. We're all connected, but being connected on that heart level. Oh, I'm too long. Okay. That gives us a good start to finding happiness. Okay.
Great, thank you. Felicia.
Aloha. So this is the perspective that I'm kind of coming from. So let me ask you this too. Have you ever participated in an escape room?
No,
Okay. So an
it
escape,
scares me.
but have you ever heard of them? Okay.
Say it again.
An escape room. So the premise of it is like there's this challenge, and you usually go in there with a group of 4 or 5 up to 12 individuals. And there's this mission, and you have to solve all of these clues in order to get out, escape the room. And so the perspective that I come from is thinking as though, talking about happiness, I knew I left Emmanuel, God, source, universe. That was the ultimate happiness. And I said to him, hey, I want to play this game called Earth. And he said, okay. So I incarnated into this life on Earth, which ultimately meant I was not going to be as happy as I was with Emmanuel, right? So I already knew what I was signing up for. Hence, like the escape challenge, like I know I'm going to enter into this, that something is going to challenge me and do all those different things. But then in the escape room, it's the people that you're like with and the skills and the abilities that you have. In that experience, you can learn so much about yourself. Like, am I good with picture puzzles? Am I good with solving all these like different riddles? What triggers me? Do I not want to go, like my daughter, she does not want to go down the slide that's in that. Like, no, that's spooky to me. But then it's like connecting and learning with those people that are on your path that can help you in order to get out and escape. And then ultimately, which I say, return back to Emmanuel. So for me, I knew coming on Earth, I'm not going to be as happy as I was with Emmanuel, but I signed up for this. So now I'm just figuring out what is the best path and resources that I can use and connect with people in order to get closer and closer to happiness, to solving what my path is or what the solution is for that puzzle. Because one of the things about escape rooms, they're all different ways. There's like a playground, they can be a Mission Impossible. They all have these themes, which is what all our lives are. Like we all have a theme that we decided to go into and solve and connect. But we learn so much about each other. And that helps me to figure out, well, what makes me happy? Because sometimes you have to ask questions like, I don't know, we're stuck. We need a clue. Hence asking our source in the manual to tell us. Like, I don't know. It made into something. I'm like, I don't know. You know, you're good at math. I don't know what that means. So it's like learning more about yourself, but I always had the understanding of knowing what I was going into. And I just think that we forget that sometimes here. Like, why am I going through all these struggles and all these paths? And it's like, oh, there's something that I'm supposed to learn from this. And then ultimately you decide what you're happy with. Hey, I'm happy that, you know, I was able to contribute this particular problem. I'm happy that we got out in 5 minutes. I'm happy. You decide what happy means for you. But that's kind of like my perspective on how it defines happiness and what that looks like here on Earth.
Thanks, Felicia. Viana has some more to share, and then I'm going to see if I can fit mine into a 2-ish minute thing.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
very long. I think that once I discovered how to communicate with myself, all the parts of my being, I call it the Knights of the Round Table, where we have these discussions and, you know, if one part of me is not happy, then the other part says, well, how can I help you? What is it you need? You know, just this learning how to parent myself, because I didn't really have very emotionally mature parents. And so once I learned how to do that, it just made such a difference. Just learning how to really, I mean, I'll give you one little story. My name, my given name was Morris. And I never really liked that name because everybody called me Morris or Maurice. So when I was in my 60s, I changed my name to Viana and I put Morris in the middle. And So Viana is my mature adult and Mars is my kid self that's learning how to be mature. So we have these ongoing conversations all the time. Now, I wanted to share that. And the other time that I am totally in bliss is when I'm in the woods with the trees. Then I feel I can be totally myself and just bliss out. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's lovely. All right. Time myself. I have so much I want to share. Well, so the answer is both and, myself and others, right? Who determines, who sets, right? Who's the gatekeeper? So I think that like pretty much every other living being, we're heading in the direction of what has us thrive. So like plants and I'll tease cats go for the light, and plants and animals find water, and like single-celled creatures go towards nutrients, right? So all of life goes towards what it needs. That's, I think, the basic kind of part of the puzzle of who we're, just the combination of who we are. And in that way, we all want to thrive. And along the way, though, we end up picking up other beliefs, I'll call the beliefs, and it's not just humans, like all kinds of other beings, I think, can pick up beliefs. Like we know some different animals can, and that somehow we're not worthy, right? So this goes back again to fear, right? So if we're in that space of love and allowing all of life to flow through us, then we go towards what has us thrive. And I think that we hold in the context of what's around us too. There's like this balance of the health, right? The paradox of like selfishness and not all at the same time. And I mean, so we run out of sun, right? We run out of sun for everybody. Somehow some inherent knowing of what's good and what's in flow, maybe instead of just selfishly going, but for what's in flow, right? So our parents teach us things, and our parents, so that's explicit, and our parents implicitly give us beliefs. And the biochemistry that we're in as babies and our moms, right? We get all kinds of messages from that about beliefs and the emotional environment of that. And we have imprinting, right? If you look at the level, right, our DNA and the way our DNA is allowed to express and all that happening from our environment too. And, so our parents, et cetera, right? So we're passing it all down to each other, and we all get it from the people we're around and the culture we're in and the friends that we have. And so it's me and it's all of the things around me that I appear to choose and, maybe don't choose. And I want to mention, for a while I studied with Gay and Katie Hendricks, and for a while I felt lots of joy and pleasure and peace in their teachings. And then I love their teachings, and I didn't love all my experiences with them. One of the teachings I appreciate is their summary of what all these beliefs are about that get in our way. They call them oblads. Outdoing, so fear of outdoing others, fear of being a burden, fear of causing a loss or a theft of love for others, abandoning others, being disloyal, that we are fundamentally flawed, or that fun is bad, work first and play later. So we're fundamentally flawed, we'll be disloyal or abandon others or be abandoned ourselves. We ought not outshine or outdo others, or will cause a burden or loss for them, or fun is bad, right? There's work to do. So all those are fears, right? So we're in the flow of love. So kind of going back in a way to Viana, talk about loving others. We're in the flow of life and love, or we block it from fear and other beliefs. So it's us and the beliefs that we choose to hold. And one of the exercises, again, I love Hendricks, my body psychology comes a lot from them. One of the exercises to practice with is to grab something and drop it, right? And just to practice dropping. So we get used to the idea of dropping and letting go what's not of service. So our whole body is used to dropping. So I'm also catching. The aim is to do it where you can just let it go and let it go and let it go. And then celebrate all the times that we do let things go and we do let love impact us, and we let ourselves like imbibe and just be in the flow and the resonance, and we put ourselves in good places. So we come to know and trust ourselves more and more of being worthy of all that. And they call that raising our upper limit. So there's my answer, informed by my pathway around those teachers.
I love it. We covered so much, we covered so much. If we could I hope people that listen, really just absorb all this and just take the bits that work for them and just go with it. Because we don't, this is why we're like, we need all these other stories. We need to listen to everybody's stories. And then be like, oh yeah, that's me.
So I know you answered your question. Right. So you asked a question, and I suspect that you want to answer your question too. So do you want to just explicitly answer your own question?
Well, yeah, sure. So everything, right? Like everything that all of us talked about. One of the way I look at it is that we know what happiness is. We just forget, right? And then we are like, okay, you know what? If I forget, what are the clues that I'm going to leave myself? That's where the people come into our lives. That's where the stories come into our life. That's where places come in. And that's how we pick up these clues that we have left ourselves, And then we get that place point of, oh yeah, okay, we collect enough pieces, and we get to that place of permission where, okay, now I've done all this. Now I know what happiness is. Now I know what I want, and now I am happy. So it's really, it's just how we play this game of life, right? And it takes all kinds. It takes this gorgeous number of stories to be like, oh, that. I mean, talk about keeping it interesting. We cannot read a book to get to happy. We have to do all this.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for appreciating, what we're doing and what we're about, what we're sharing. I don't think anyone has chosen to step in to ask a question yet. I'm going to put in the chat again the information on giving us feedback about today. And if you want to give us your email address, being entered into a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to be able to share with you about what all is happening, all of our different events and the offerings that we all have, and have one of us give you a free session.
So there's a hand up down here. Did you see the hand?
Where's their hand up? Where's their hand?
Yeah,
up?
it's
What do you see that I don't see?
oh, that's my cursor.
Oh, all right. I love your optimism. So great.
Oh, we needed to laugh.
I love your energy, Viana. Yes. Well, yeah. So, and just acknowledging it is Samhain tonight, so there's a lot that's a lot happening all in the universe tonight. And what we'll do is, if we don't have any questions, it's been great that we've been able to talk about the theme. What we'll do is we will reschedule this panel for a time that all the panelists that want to come back can come. And we'll do this again. And yeah, so just a last chance. If anyone wants to ask a question, I'll go put the information in the chat again, how to do that. If you want to ask a specific question of the panel, you are welcome to do that. It's a small price to ask a question. If you want to do that, let us know so we know and we don't close up. Susie, go ahead and share.
And the questions don't have to be limited to finding peace and happiness either. It could be about anything, except I won't talk to your dog though. I'm still trying to work with mine, but that's okay. Everybody else can do their thing.
Great. It's great. Yeah. Or we'll just reschedule for another time. Yeah. All right, great. Well, let's go ahead and let's close out. So practitioners, I want you all to be able to share again who you are and what you do briefly, and I'll put everyone's information in the chat again. And yeah, so I guess we can go in the same order. We want to go Susie and then Felicia.
Okay, well, thanks, y'all. I'm grateful that we've had this opportunity to talk about what happiness is and how we can find it and all the processes involved. So, that's for me, that's important too. I'm Susy Parker Goins of Blue Lightning Healing. You can find me at bluelightninghealing.com. I do all kinds of things except animal communication. And channel, card reader, past life explorer. I do the things that we need to in the moment. I have a podcast, say the words. I have a podcast called Blue Lightning Healing Meditations. You can find it on my website. And then we posted earlier the link for our Mystic Mosaic podcast that happens Thursdays at 12:30. Thanks so much. And I'm looking forward to talking to y'all again.
And those are both in the chat, and your special is 20% off with a code that's also in the chat. Great. Felicia's next.
Yes, aloha. It's been wonderful to connect with everyone. As an all-intuitive executive and life coach, I encourage individuals to live smart and ascend to new levels of success. I do that through Live Smart Energy Readings. You can get a little taste of what those look like by checking out my webcast. That website can be found on YouTube. Just putting in the @ symbol, Felicia Miller Johnson. You'll be connected to that. And then I'm also offering a special that is, 33% off of the normal readings if you want to have that reading privately, because most of them are done publicly on my webcast. I look forward to connecting with you. My website is sevenfoldcoaching.com. And until we meet again, thank you.
Thanks so much, Felicia. I think we have Joy next.
Thank you, Laureli. My name is Joy J. Lee. I'm an energy healer. I'm certified in hand mudras and work with phototherapy, stem cell patches, and do intuitive readings with oracle cards. The term mudras is Sanskrit for gesture, and like Reiki, mudras are a form of energy healing. And I'm also a distributor of LifeWave patches, which are a wonderful new stem cell healing modality that operate on the principle of phototherapy. And I also do intuitive readings with oracle decks. I have a couple of event specials, 30 minutes for $25 or 50 minutes for $40. First 30-minute consultation free, all for the month of November. You can reach me by phone or email, and those are available on my website, diamondfirephoenix.com, standard spelling. And I'm really happy to be here tonight and have listened and participated in such a great panel. And thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Joy. Satora's next.
Hi, I'm Satora with Amari's Wellbeing. I'm an energy healer and a channel. I work with a group of ascended masters, angels, and other loving beings. In the energy healing, I'm like a conduit. They work through me. You'll be bathed in love and well-being, and you set your own intentions, and according to that, you get help with your alignment with that, and you'll emerge in a different state where you are more open to receiving what it is you want and more aligned with who you really are. And then good stuff starts to happen. So we are all about your well-being and being who you really are. And I have a website, amaris.com here. That's where you can find us. There's also free stuff on there, like messages in writing and messages you can listen to. And I have a special of 33% off. And well, if you want help with accelerated transformation and change for the better, we can help you with that. We help sensitive beings mostly. Thanks, and have happy Thanksgiving season.
Thanks, Satora. I think then we've got Sue and then Viana.
I'm Sue Vadi. I'm an intuitive empath. I use Akashic records, mediumships, and energy healing to break and change the life patterns and get to the highest and best stories that enable us to create our own reality and our own joy and our own peace. My Facebook page is Light Side Me. That's where I can be reached. My current special that I'm offering is it's $40, 45 minutes for the month of November. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Viana.
Hi, I'm Viana, and I thank you so much for being here. And I love to teach people how to connect with their subtle beings, their guardian angel, how to move freely, how to love yourself unconditionally. And I do animal communications, and I also do house cleaning. So if you don't like the energy in your house, I'll help you clean it up, and help you connect to your universal function. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Viana. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader and a body psychology coach. I read your eyes and your body expression and help you get into alignment with your purpose in your career, work life, the contributions that you make with the energy you place in the world, with the people that you connect with, the relationships that you're in, how to feel more ease and joy, and how to see when it's better to go another direction, and to help you match with people that are great for you in your life and all parts of your life, so that your soul can be more alignment and in more alignment and resonating on your path to express your purpose for this time that you're in your body. You can find out more about me at laurelishamayo.com. That's LaureliShimayo.com. And I also help run all the MeWe events. I do this with support of other people. It's great. And you can find out more about all of our upcoming events at mewefairs.com. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. And the next things coming up are Monday, November 7th. So this is next Monday. We have a Metaphysics and Intuition Practice Circle, where for an itty bitty tiny little price, you can come practice in a hopefully safe space. We set a really great container with your peers. So it's a great opportunity to practice whatever it is that you're learning, are already practicing, you want more practice, a new modality you're learning, simply opening to your intuition and all those kinds of things. And some of our panels coming up are plans for health and healing. We have an anything and everything training panel where we have practitioners new to be on stage, new online, etc., answering questions from the audience at half price. And Step into the Light coming up, and we have another online fair, and then in person we will be in the Seattle area, a bunch of us this weekend for BEPC that I help run. That's in Kent, Washington, and then a couple weeks later we'll be in Linwood, Washington, outside Seattle, for a MeWe fair, and then we will be in Eugene and then Portland. And we have a whole schedule for 2023 as well. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. We will reschedule this panel. We will choose a date, hopefully right after this. And we look forward to letting you know when that is. We hope to see you again at more of our events and maybe this event again. Thank you everyone so much.